Right, President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected today to visit disaster-stricken Jagersfontein in the Free State. A mine dam burst causing massive damage to houses and infrastructure in the area. One person has been confirmed dead, with dozens others, including a pregnant woman, hospitalised. The patients are mostly being treated for hypothermia, while others have sustained fractures. Bloom Water says it will only be able to provide residents with water until today because the local water treatment plant is inoperable following a power outage linked to the mine sludge dam burst. Power supply to Jagersfontein has also been cut. Bloom Water says 3 water tankers have been dispatched to assist communities from Tromsburg to Jagersfontein as a contingency measure. Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe says De Beers, the owners of the dam, will have to take full responsibility for the damage that was caused. All right, we're now joined via Zoom by attorney and legal analyst Elton Hart to weigh in on the legal recourse for the Jagersfontein residents following the mine dam explosion that destroyed infrastructure. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thanks very much for joining us once again here on SABC News.
Afternoon and afternoon to the viewers.
Well, I want to start here. I think there was a bit of a correction there. You know, the minister had said that De Beers should be held accountable, but we've also heard De Beers saying, look, we haven't been the owners for the past 10 years, and in fact, Supokolong now owns it. Is there a way to perhaps assess or identify whether or not perhaps De Beers knew of imminent problems and can then be held accountable, even though they have said, look, we haven't been the owners in 10 years? Would there be ways and recourse to see if at all they were aware that there might have been problems that would arise at some point?
No, definitely. So obviously one has to look at when De Beers transferred ownership to, and what they call is the Jagersfontein Development Company, as you now say, Supokolong. Yeah. One needs to check when was ownership transferred to these various new owners, but also one needs to check when De Beers was the owner of the mine, which was like approximately 10 years. And it seems from residents, 12 years ago, they already made known that this dam wall offers a threat to the community of Charlesville. So from there, one will check, did De Beers even maintain the dam wall? Did they make sure that all the safety precautions as set out in the regulations and guidelines of the DMR, as well as the water and sanitation works, if they've met it? If they have not, then already they were negligent. And when they passed on to the new owners, they already passed on a walking, or let one say, a standing time bomb, and not alerting the new buyers to the potential threat. There's also liability in that. And even so, if they alerted them and the new owners also did not do nothing, they also then become liable. And then obviously one needs to look at the government departments, the one for DMR as well as water and sanitation. What was their responsibilities in making sure that rehabilitation works happen when a mine closed down? So there's a lot of people that can be looked at as possible wrongdoers in this scenario.
Yeah. In terms of that wrongdoing, is it necessary to go the legal route for these residents, or to take legal steps where, you know, maybe the company says, okay, we understand it is in fact our fault, we will then fix it, and in fact here's money to fix your houses, your homes, and for those who have medical costs? Is there any need in that kind of situation to then go the legal route?
Normally, it's like one needs to look at what was the damages suffered by the community at large. And the money offered, because it doesn't help flow if I offer you 10 rand, but your damages was 100 rand, then it doesn't add up. At least if we say we're going to reach consensus and come to a conclusion and say, okay, your damages was 100, but because of our financial position, we can only give you 90. Then I think that's maybe a better settlement. But to just come and say to the people, we're going to give you through out, and there's people's livelihoods that's depending on that. Because I saw one of the guys that was on the news, it's like a local mechanic who works from home. He has lost his customer's vehicle, so the customer is going to say, listen, my vehicle was in your custody. So one needs to go assess what was the damages suffered before they come and make that offer. If that two things doesn't match up, then obviously you have to now involve legal practitioners to actually get what is rightfully yours or to recover your damages.
It does seem in South Africa, Mr. Hart, that mining companies, mining houses, seem to get away with a lot in the communities where they operate. Can you maybe talk to us, if you can just think, at the top of your head, about a situation or a case where communities have been, in fact, successful? We've seen success stories from those perhaps who've come in and had a class action suit against a mining company where residents have actually taken on these particular companies, because it's very rare that one actually hears that companies actually got something out of coming together and suing essentially those particular companies.
If you go look at a very successful story is somewhere there in the Sishen Katu area, where actually they did not even get as far as going to court because the mining company already saw that they don't have merits in their case, and they actually offered the people good and solid compensation for what the damages was, and also for what they are taking away from or what they took away from the people. So there is, from that area, where you could say that mine actually came to the party, but with being strong-armed by legal firms or law firms. So at some stage, you'll need a law firm to come in, but it's not always necessary to go to court. But if they don't want to come in and give you what's rightfully yours for the wrongful act or the negligent act that was committed by either one of the employees or by the mine or the mine manager, because he's normally offered receive the certificate to operate, then obviously you'll have to now go to court and issue summons. But sometimes you get those stories. And currently, I think also what's pending is that the asbestos cases is currently pending before our courts. But I see here, or in the asbestos cases, people had to actually approach court, but where the mines has to now be forced by a court order. And I don't necessarily know if the people will get solid money, but at least there's something going. But there in the Northern Cape, there has been some cases where you could say that people has gotten, but it costs a lot of work and fight in boardrooms and in meetings with these mining companies, because they're not willing to sever ties with their monies very easily, because these shareholders are unattached to our communities and they don't really necessarily feel the plight of the community down there where the disaster struck.
All right. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for your input, sir.